Welcome to the Agent Box, everyone. Thursday morning, 11 o'clock. It's almost like as if this is all we do. Um,
That's all we do, don't we?
my name is Shem Ghani, and I've got with me, as always,
Here, not a co-star, just a co-host.
we need to stop saying these things, man. This is I'm getting negative feedback from all sorts of different places. No, I'm not.
We're not getting any feedback.
Anyway, it's good to be here. It's good to be on the Agent Box. Abir, what have you been up to, man? What's been happening?
Well, I had a lovely week last week. I had almost all the week off, and then we went to that beautiful campus at Greenwich. We did our show from there last week, and this week, we are back into our usual space in our own studio.
Absolutely. Studio. What studio, man? Do you know what I mean?
Well, we need to have a chat with the producer.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay. Well, look. It's been a busy week, hasn't it? I mean, last week was busy, being down in London, but this week as well, I kind of feel my weeks are just whizzing by. I can't believe we're in June already this year. I mean, it's quite.
And it's getting to the business end of the year as well. It's that time of the year.
The busiest time as well. Yeah, I'm sure everybody's. Yeah, everybody's absolutely busting a gut for the September intake. And I think, I'm sure everybody across the world is number crunching just to see that what we're going to do for this year. I think the fact that I speak to a lot of partner universities, and they always tell me that, the numbers are not looking great this year. So everybody's under a little bit of stress. You can feel it, when you're talking to people, whether I'm talking to agents, whether I'm talking to universities, everyone seems to be a little bit under pressure to kind of get the numbers in. Well,
to be brutally honest with you, I don't get it, to be honest, why people are getting under pressure or why people are panicking. Because what we saw last 2 to 3 years, those are inflated numbers. So if you have been as you've been in the industry for the longest run, you know that this won't sustain in the longest run anyway.
No. That's totally true, Abir, but the problem is people get used to it, though, don't they? Because when you start, when you look at the numbers, and the universities have done exactly the same thing as I'm sure agents have done across the world, where, business was really good. People start expanding, people start going into different, growing their business. And then all of a sudden, when the numbers go down, it is difficult. It is one of those things. And I know that the universities are tightening their budgets, tightening their purse strings, really trying to be, I guess, look, the key word here for me when we're talking about this is being innovative, right? That when the going gets a little bit tough, that's where I've seen it before. People in our sector start to think, outside the box. They start to think innovatively, and that's exactly what we should do. But anyway, look, let's talk about today's topic, which is something that
you just led right into it, didn't you?
Yeah, let's just get to the meat of what we want to discuss today. What we want to talk about today is that issue of innovative, being efficient, and using tech to do that. Now, look, before we start talking about tech and agents, I want to kind of give an idea to everybody. Those of you who might not know, I'm sure many of you do, but universities, I'm going to start with that. Universities I'm noticing, are seriously looking at tech to help them recruit. Now, this, for me, my personal kind of opinion on this started last year when I went to ISEF in Berlin. We, as SAMS Global, we basically sponsored ISEF Digital. And I was surprised at the number of companies at ISEF Digital that were offering tech solutions to international recruitment. And I'm talking about a variety of different ways and a variety of different parts of the student recruitment journey. But what it did make me think, and I remember thinking at the time that, oh my God, this is definitely the way forward. Everybody is in some way or the other thinking about tech. When it comes to, it's not even a nice to have anymore. It's something that is very much, becoming a necessity. And I'm definitely noticing that amongst universities. And I'll give you an example, right? What with the Mac review a few weeks ago, the whole, kind of narrative coming out of the Home Office around, sort of bad actors when it comes to agents or agent management, student recruitment being under scrutiny. There are lots and lots of universities joining lots and lots of meetings where they're talking about technology. Now, you and I might think, or our viewers might think, that universities, of course, have a lot of technology. And I think you and I both know that is not the case. The international recruitment offices generally don't have the latest technology, despite the fact that the university may have systems, that they're developing. But nevertheless, with international recruitment, certainly in my experience, everywhere I've worked, technology has been a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, and you are organizing one of those tech meetings next week, aren't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're obviously trying to do our part in this. We're hosting a roundtable discussion next week with a significant number of universities who are happy to talk to us. And what I've also learned that many other companies are holding roundtable discussions and universities are joining those. What it's telling me is just that thing that technology is no longer becoming a nice to have, but it's almost becoming an essential part of student recruitment. Now, somebody like myself, I've worked for many years in pathways. Okay, people who know me know that I've worked for some big pathway companies out there. And 10, 15 years ago, the pathway companies were using cutting edge tech to recruit students. And it felt like, to me, a gulf of difference between what the universities were doing and what the pathway providers were doing. But the pathway providers, I think, in a lot of ways, are probably leading that kind of conversation as well. But as are some of the big recruitment agents around the world, who we all know, or the recruitment platforms around the world, they are leading the conversation around technology and how you can use technology to become more efficient, to become more streamlined, and to make sure that you can deliver quality students.
So I have a question for you, Shan.
Yeah, go ahead, Abir.
So we talked a lot about the art of counseling, to have that human touch, to build that rapport. So where does this technology come into play in all this conversation?
You know what that makes me think, Abir, straight away? It makes me think about religion and science, right? There's a lot of people that think, religion and science are mutually exclusive. And then there's a lot of other people out there that think, no, actually, you know what? Religion and science go hand in hand. Okay. So this is what it's reminding. I'll tell you why it's reminding me of that. Because you might think that the art of counseling and technology are two separate things. That technology is all about numbers, numbers, numbers. It's about looking at dashboards and all the rest of it. Whereas the art of counseling is that human touch, is that really understanding your student and really being able to counsel them with the right opportunity. To me, the two are not mutually exclusive. Okay, that you need to have both. You could be the best counselor there is and the worst person when it comes to being organized, because that's all that tech is going to do. Tech is going to make you an organized counselor. And with that organization, you have control. You know where your students are at. So you could lose the benefit of being an excellent counselor by being a really rubbish organizer and not knowing, who you talk to about what, when, and how they reacted to that. So I think to answer your question, Abir, it is very much a case of they go hand in hand. You've got to have the really passionate approach to student recruitment, but also then have the hard, cold, data driven attitude in terms of making numbers get through. And remember, as agents, we're in it, yes, for the passion, yes, to make lives better, but also to earn a decent living.
Yeah.
It is a business. So you can't kind of forget that part of it.
The student recruitment is an art and science.
Yes, I definitely believe that, man. I 100% believe that. And I've worked in organizations where it's seen more as a science, and I've also worked in organizations where it's seen more as an art. But in my
It's
opinion,
just having that balance right,
exactly, absolutely, man, absolutely. That you have to have both things in equal measure, and that's the sweet spot. That's where you're going to basically start, recruiting quality students, making money, and life looks good. Whereas those organizations that really don't give a damn about the art, will end up with possibly poor quality students. They might have a lot of students, but it's going to impact them negatively because their quality is poor. And equally, where you have artisan agencies where they're actually, doing really good counseling, but they're very disorganized, they're losing money. They're struggling to keep up with from a business point of view. So for me, the issue here, today's discussion is about this: that is it a nice to have? I sometimes get the impression from agents in particular that technology is a nice to have. I can do this job without the technology. Don't worry about it. What's your thought on that? What's your gut instinct on that, Abir?
To be honest, yes, I can. But what you just mentioned, that I will not be able to maximize my proficiency and efficiency. So I won't be as productive as I am. Even if we don't talk about emerging technologies, the technology that has been in place for years and years, for example, Excel, I need some tools to make myself more organized and get the job done in a more proficient manner, because you only have 8 hours in a working day. You don't have like 20 hours that you can work. Some of us do, I know. But if you want to get the best out of yourself and optimize and maximize your resources, you have to have a form of technology nowadays. And also at the same time, all your clients, if we talk about the end client as our students, they're all on tech. So how do you, even if you are the greatest artisan of student counseling, how do you connect with that particular client if you are not using tech and don't know about tech?
That's a really good point, actually, Abir. That is a very good point. That there are agents out there that have been in the business for many, many years, and generationally, they're at a point where they don't necessarily connect with tech in general, as younger people do. But those agents are actually dealing with customers that are much younger than themselves. And in a way, you know what? Certainly, I felt that as I've gotten older, and admittedly, I'm becoming more and more far removed from that face-to-face counseling. But whenever I've had the opportunity to counsel students, I do feel that students will listen to what I have to say because they feel that I know what I'm talking about because I'm older. But at the same time, if then I'm not in tune with the kind of tech that they want to engage with, or they are engaging with in other aspects of their lives, they might feel that as an agent, I'm not really up to the mark, in terms of helping them secure the best, sort of place at university overseas. So that's a really good point, actually. I hadn't thought about that, but that's actually that generational gap there as well. But one thing, right? Look, we've said this before in on the show. We have touched on this, that that how does technology, what kind of technology is going to be the one that's the absolute mandatory you need to have that if you're running an agency. And I think it's going to be no surprise to anybody listening to this that having a CRM. And you know what? We're talking today in 2024, like a CRM is a new thing. A lot of agents that I talk to, they kind of feel, look, I've got, Google Sheets, I've got Excel, I've got, shared drives that I use. And CRM, that's like a luxury that I can do without. What surprises me though, is that in 2024, we're thinking CRM is new. And I'm not being funny, right? The most extensive CRM that I came across was probably in 2005 or 2000 and actually probably 2000, 2005 was probably when I kind of really engaged with CRMs. And since that time, I've only engaged with more and more sophisticated CRM systems. And I'll tell you this, in 2010, right? In 2010, I was using a system that was so clever that did two things. And I'm not going to name you where I was, right? If somebody can be bothered to figure that out, then that's their business. But the system that I was using in 2010, right, knew which student had been onto the website of the organization, right? What they looked at, okay, how often they looked at a certain page. Based on that activity, the system automatically emailed them the relevant information. Now, what do I
Wow.
mean? Think
We're
about this.
talking about 14, 15 years back. And
Exactly. We're talking about 15 years ago, right? That actually, let's say, for example, a student goes on your website and is interested and looks at your fees page or your scholarship page or something like that. Then all of a sudden an email would go to that student saying, hey, are you worried about, the cost of tuition or the cost of studying overseas? Don't worry about it, because we've got some really good low cost options for you, or the scholarships that are available for you, or this and that, or you can get study loans, blah, 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 blah. These kind of emails started going out to someone, or somebody looking at their English language criteria. I'm talking about institutions here, right? But looking, they're basically looking at the English language criteria. All of a sudden, they get a bunch of emails saying that, look, there's English language support, there's this and that. This was happening back in 2015, 2010. The other thing that the system was able to do, and this kind of blew me away at the time, right? There was something called, I don't know whether this still exists, but there was something called a clout score. Have you ever come across a clout score, Abir?
no, not really.
Right. What this is, right? So based on your social media activity, now think about it, 10, 15 years ago, people were a lot less active on social media, right? But based on your social media activity, an institution or an agency could know how much of an influencer you are.
Oh.
And because based on your clout score, and you know who's been using this clout score for many, many years before that are airlines and hotels. So basically, when you book an airline ticket, if you've got a very high clout score, right, the airline are likely to give you an upgrade, because the chances are that you are going to talk on social media, you understand, about what's gone on. Or if you go and book a hotel room and they check your clout score, you're likely to get an upgrade, because you're going to talk about this, or you're going to talk negatively if you get a poor service. Now, this organization that I was working for, an international student recruitment, was using clout score to pick out students, right? So if a student had a really high clout score, then the service that student got was going to be exceptional, or a lot of attention. It's not to say that other students were not getting, good service, but these students were being isolated and being targeted. Like, we cannot make any mistakes when it comes to this student.
I can only imagine the competitive edge they had over their competitors,
Now, think about it, right? So here we are in 2024, kind of asking ourselves, do I really want to, waste any money on CRM systems? Okay.
I'll tell you, you talk about from the institutional perspective, because I have been an agent almost all my life. So I introduced a CRM system back in 2017 in my previous place.
Right.
And I'll tell you why I even thought of having a CRM, because I was crunching some data and numbers of the leads and whatnot. And I kid you not, I found out over 60% of the leads we are losing out because we are not organized, because we forgot about them, we didn't keep tabs on them. And these 60% is just not random 60% leads. These were qualified leads. They ended up going somewhere else, in fact, to one of my competitors, and they enrolled. And so I found that that's a loss to me, my company, and that's a waste of my resources, just because I met the student, sent out an email, and I forgot about it because I'm dealing with so many different things.
Exactly. See, this is it. People don't see how is it efficient. They kind of think that if I've got a CRM system, then I am, I'm professional. It's got nothing to do with labels. It's to do with how much money you're going to earn. That if you've got a good CRM system, you're likely to earn more money. And actually,
don't look at it as an expense. Look at it as an investment, and look at the return on investment that you're going to get out of it.
100%. And I think, look, this is something that, this is going to be an ongoing conversation over the next coming months and years. And I tell you why. If you kind of if you had a crystal ball and you could look into the future, right? And you've got, we know what the UK government at the moment is doing, but, there's a likelihood there's going to be a change of government here in the UK. But if you go down the road of regulating agents, of actually, having a register of agents, my personal prediction, okay, is that one of the things that the government is going to ask for is that your agency must have a CRM system. And I tell you why I'm saying that, because in the US, right, in the US, this is, I think, with the AIRC, don't quote me on these things, I'm just trying to remember, but there is an organization in the US that will not allow you to register as an agency unless you have a CRM system. You understand? That's one of the mandatory requirements that they ask for. And it's because it tells organizations something about you. That if you have a CRM system, that means you are at a baseline. It's not like you're miles ahead of everybody else. You're actually at a baseline that you have some control over your business.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that CRM system, then it shows that you simply don't have any kind of control. You are making it up each day as you're coming to work. You're making stuff up, and you're trying to get ahead. And I'll tell you something, right? In today's world, there is huge competition for CRM systems, CRM companies. So you can get the best possible. There's a lot of choice. So you can get one that suits you. Obviously, look, as everybody that regularly watches the Agent Box knows, that we're sponsored by Sam CRM, okay? And at this point, I see the producer's just gone to sleep today. Here we go. Right. So sales at samcrm.co.uk is basically how you can get in touch with them and find out whether, the Sam CRM is going to be suitable for you. The thing that we always say is that Sam CRM is a solution that's been designed by agents for agents, which does matter because the guys at Sam's know what agents are going through in terms of that student journey. It's an organic kind of system, but there are lots of organizations out there offering CRM systems, and it might mean that you have to sort of configure a system to suit your needs. My advice is that, look, it doesn't matter which one you get one, try it. If it doesn't work, get rid of it, get another one. Do you understand? But think about the CRM, as Abir quite rightly says, it's an investment in your company. It's like saying that I'm not going to have internet. Imagine an agent saying that today.
Yeah.
That actually I don't believe in emails and internet. We don't need that. We put adverts in the newspaper, we post adverts on street lampposts, and students come and we give them advice. And you know what? When I started in this business, believe me, Abir, I mean, I feel so old when I say this.
You are a dinosaur.
I feel like a dinosaur, man. But there were agents who did operate like that, when I started. That
yeah, to be honest, I was just about to say that, like, when you are saying it makes so much more impact and sense in my head, because you have been in an industry since the time you carried a printer with you to print out offer letters. From that to here, now you understand the journey and the importance of it. Like you said, that 30 years back, no internet was fine. But you can
absolutely, and the thing is that those agencies, if they didn't adopt those technologies, something as basic as internet, which we think is it's like having a phone. You know what I mean? How can you not have internet? How can you not have email? How can you not have a website? Imagine an agency launching itself today saying, I don't need a website. I mean, come on. You understand? That's the first thing that anybody's going to do, is they're going to Google search you and see whether you got a website or not. And if you're not there, then you are just not even worth talking to. Do you know what I mean?
To be honest, we could take a leaf out of a case study from Kodak, from Nokia. They were the market leaders, right? But they didn't adapt to the changes in the market scenario.
And where are they today?
Name a few, but I won't. Agencies who were the biggest agencies back in the day, but they went out of business because they didn't adapt to the technological changes and other changes in the market as well. So
it's what I guess what we're trying to say, folks, is that, look, ask yourself what kind of technology you're embracing. Ask yourself how further along that journey you are, because the rest of the sector, your partner universities, your pathway providers, other agents, younger agents, right, are actually going miles ahead. And it's a fast-paced environment. And if you're not at the point where you're thinking, you know what, I need to get on board, I need to start thinking about this. I need to start thinking smarter. There is a risk that you're going to end up, losing, and then you're going to be out of the game. You're going to be out of the game because there'll be better, younger, smarter people that are in tune with what the governments are looking for, in tune with what the universities are looking for, and they're presenting themselves as professional, efficient, state-of-the-art agents. And quite frankly, these are the kind of people that the students want to go and talk to. They don't want to talk to dinosaurs. They don't want to talk to people that don't have that kind of technology. I mean, people are talking about having mobile apps, for their agencies. There are a lot of companies that are talking about how can we have mobile apps that are integrated into social media, integrated into messaging apps. If we're not even thinking about CRM systems, I mean, my God, we are so far away from where we need it to be. But look, guys, as always, it's 26 minutes in, right? So we need to start thinking about wrapping this up. Abir, any last thoughts on this topic of emerging technologies? That's an interesting topic title, that we're not even talking about existing technologies. Existing technologies, we are assuming and expecting that agents have already onboarded those. We're talking about emerging. We're talking about AI, machine learning, integrated stuff. Any last thoughts?
It's just that, like, we as agents or like any other business, we need to keep adapting to the changes and requirement of the market, or we are at the risk of become obsolete. It's our choice what we want to be. Do we want to keep or become obsolete?
Absolutely, man. And you know what? There's one other thought that just popped into my head, which a lot of agents, I wonder whether they think about these things. That if you've been running an agency, for the last 5 years, the last 10 years, right? And you've dealt, you have, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, universities that you work with, and you're dealing with X number of students every year that are applying, or leads that you have. If you had a system in place that were capturing that information over the last 5 years, you have an extremely rich set of data and insights that not only can drive your business strategy, but you could almost share that insight with your partner universities to shape how they look at the market or markets that you operate in. So we're not even taking advantage of that. There are organizations, there are agents out there that are taking full advantage of this. But I wonder how many agents that are the ordinary type of agents could even tell you, that over the last 3 years, how many students have I dealt with? What kind of demographic of those students come from? What subjects were they interested in? What type of universities were they interested in? Which countries did they want to go to? You know what I mean? There's so many points.
And trust me, my agent friends, when you start talking about that with your university partners, they're going to love you better than their partners.
Exactly. You then you stand out. You stand out all of a sudden, and even if your numbers are not great, they still want to be your friend and still want to do business with you, because you're an intelligent person or an intelligent organization that they want to work with. But that sort of information, how many of us can actually say, yes, we know? Because the other thing is, when the market's dry, if I know where my students have come from, what demographic they've come from, I can think about either doing more in that particular sector or thinking about an alternative sector. Maybe the demographic that I have been benefiting from is the one that's dried up. And there are several other demographics in my market that I've never even touched. And I need to think about how I access those. If you don't know this stuff, how are you going to make those business decisions? Anyway, guys, look, we've gone right up to the half an hour mark on this one, right? And as you can tell, I think both me and Abir are quite passionate about this issue. It is something that I think is very, very important, and we're going to see more of. Look, get in touch with us at theagentbox@gmail.com if you've got any comments, any queries, any stories that you want to share with us. We've got our phone number there as well, 5187 ending in 5187. Drop us a text message or WhatsApp, and we'll be happy to talk to you, happy to hear your view. And maybe if you want to join us on the show, more than welcome to let us know that you want to take part. With that said, that's it from me and Abir.
From here, next week, same time, we'll catch you up. Next week, we're talking about alumni engagement.
Fantastic. See, it's almost as if we've planned these things. Do you understand? It's almost as if we've planned it. But anyway, folks, look, it's that's it from us from the Agent Box for this week. Hope to see you again same time next week. Until then, take care. Stay busy.